Play with us.
Yes, my fault, because we gotta talk about the queen. You already know.
You're good. It's Sunday, and they're like, oh, we don't want to talk about the angel on this day. Only good.
We
However, has to be said.
well, as the old saying goes, like she says, "I love the Lord,"
And that's that. Well,
and
I
that's
don't.
that.
I don't, but she does.
We all do in our own special way. You know that.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to do an episode on that because when I say that, people, I'm not like an antichrist. I have my own beliefs and values.
And
Okay.
we all should be accepted in our own beliefs, regardless of anything.
Yep. It's called manifest.
And it's called everything else.
Mm-mm. And it's called legacy, talent, and just icon.
And yes, and you're tuning in JusTea with Justice, aka Melanin King, JusTea.
Do you want to tell him the news or should I tell him the news?
I think you should tell him because you're the host. Let's talk about it.
You know what? I'm the host for now, y'all.
And
Okay.
Steffi's the co-host.
I
And you
went
was
on a journey. Okay, a journey. And like I say, I manifest things. I was led to this man named Steffi because, okay, even Wendy, I thought there and I was like, I'm dreaming big, but I'm not dreaming too big. Even Wendy had Norman to co host off of.
yes.
Everyone always says that Norman's just the tech guy. No, those guys had a genuine relationship off of the show and they were talking all day. Norman was her sidekick.
Right. And you know what's crazy? Without Wendy, we would not get some tea of the day because she was the tea of the day.
Do you remember her facial expressions? There was always so much that she knew and wanted to say, and she was like, I can't.
But you know what's crazy? And it hold her
Her
back because
facial expression said it all.
she said what she said. She said it all and she done it all and she experienced it so much. So at the same time, like when he said, "How you doing?"
There will never be another Wendy.
There will never,
However,
ever.
well, we got to do an episode on her too.
Yes, yes.
Today, everybody. Oh, I didn't even say what I was going to say. Starting September 7th, y'all, he is going to be my official co-host, and I'm changing the name and everything.
Yes. Snap it up.
And that's that.
And that
and
is
I need
that.
to find sound effects. I need to find the sound effects button like Nikki does on her Queen Radio where she does the booms.
And you know how RuPaul said, don't fuck it up?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my gosh. This was tough for me. Like, I already knew all this stuff, but I even learned more today when I was reading.
Yes.
I was like, I want to do this. I was like, I'm going to record this right on a Sunday. I want everything to be fresh on my mind because if I record it days before, I'm going to forget all the stuff that I want to say.
Right. I have to say a lot, which is a lot to say about.
What are we talking about today?
We're talking about the infamous, the angel, the diva soul, and we're just going to go into, we're going to talk about Miss Whitney Houston. Miss Whitney Houston. The Whitney Houston.
Mm-hmm.
The diva of soul. The diva of soul, honey.
August 9th, 1963 to February 11th, 2012. And that is disrespectful.
And it is. Say it so.
When's the first time you heard Whitney?
The first time I heard Whitney, it was when I was younger. And I don't remember what age and what time of the day, but you know when your mom...
You know when you first hear that
voice. Exactly. When you hear that big voice is being heard, Whitney is always... When I mean always, she doesn't disappoint. You know, when your mom is going through something, she always listens to Mary or whoever, but mostly Whitney,
no more
honey.
Drama, and I did not know my own strength.
And you know what? It all said and done, because you know, Whitney is Whitney. Whitney loved everybody. Everybody loved Whitney. Because
Whitney is one of the only artists that I ever let not write a lick.
Yes.
And let it slide.
And you know what's crazy? She never missed a note. She always hit her notes. There's never a time and place she did not hit her notes. She always did. And she always will be. And always have.
The first time I ever heard Whitney was when she did her live performance, her first TV performance. Fun fact, y'all, but I didn't hear it because I wasn't born yet or thought of. Okay, so calm down.
Exactly, same too.
But it was Home, her cover by Stephanie Mills, and it was her first TV appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Little fresh faced, and her mama just chilling in the back, and the way she sang. And I remember Clive and his shady ass. We'll get to him.
Yeah, we'll get to his shady ass and later on.
You know, this beautiful voice. Y'all ain't ready. But he was correct. Y'all weren't ready. And the fact that she entertained all those white people in that audience, that speaks volumes.
Yes, and at the same time, they wasn't ready for it. Nobody was ready for it. Even like white
The only
folks
one who
wasn't
was
ready.
ready was Miss Sissy, because Sissy already knew.
Sissy already knew. The mother already knew, and she
Mom
know what
already
it
knew and
was.
knows about it. Maybe Dion, her relatives, maybe they knew, but Whitney grew up singing in the church, okay?
And
And
she
I will
did,
always
and she
say,
did. She's
point
a
blank
church.
period.
She's a church girl. She really is. She's a church girl, and she always will be. And you know what? At the same time, Winnie's just giving me life, and she gives me a coordination when I need to do something, or always want to do something for my life.
Do y'all want to hear these accolades? I'm going to just read them off.
Exactly.
They are in no order, okay? They don't need to be.
Exactly.
Whitney Houston is the first best-selling album debut, selling 10 million copies with her self-titled album Whitney Houston.
Mm-hmm.
Whitney held the record for the highest one-week single sales with 632 copies with I Will Always Love You. These girls
Yeah.
can't even sell 1,000 pure copies nowadays.
Come on now.
I Will Always Love You went diamond in 2022, and it's her only diamond song, and she's one of 3 female artists right behind Taylor and Mariah. Okay.
Right.
The Bodyguard sold 1,061,000 copies, and it was the first album to sell that in 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
Today, Whitney, Mariah, Madonna, Celine, Britney, Shania Twain. I didn't know she was that big. Oh, yeah, I did. Let me stop.
Well, you know what?
Adele,
She is the queen. You got to
62.
know this.
Those are the only queens with multiple diamond albums. The
Mm-hmm.
Bodyguard today has sold over 45 million units.
And even
Whitney
more.
Houston's Star Spangled Banner is the only certified platinum national anthem.
Yes, yes, yes.
6 AMAs in 1986, 7 AMAs in 1987. That's the most nominations ever, and that's in 2 years, and that's 22 in total. Saving All My Love for You won an Emmy. In 1994, she won 8 AMAs, tying Michael Jackson. In 1993, she had 11 Billboard Awards for Bodyguard and I Will Always Love You, and that song has sold over 200 million copies to date. 1994 has 5 awards at the World Music Awards. She is
Come on, Whitney. How will I know?
the most covered song on American Idol, and the most sang song on American Idol is I Have Nothing.
Yes.
Only artist with a Grammy, an Emmy, an MTV Video Award, a People's Choice Award, and a Billboard Music Award. She is the first artist, to have 7 consecutive number ones, and the first woman to enter the Billboard 200 at number 1. She's the first melanated queen ever that was on the cover of 17 magazine. She has
Right, right.
400 awards in total. She's the most awarded female of all time. She has 3 albums that were number 1 for over 10 weeks. She's the best-selling gospel album of all time. Anita and Janet said they were inspired and said that Whitney paved the way for them. More physical copies sold than any artist ever, female. She in 2020, she had 60 million certified albums, like plaques and all of that. She has
Plural.
all of
Yes.
her albums are at least platinum. In Jersey, she has a school named after her, and in 2020, she was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and that was the first time she was nominated, and she is only one of 9 artists to do so. And that's just a little bit, y'all. I could go
Right,
on.
right. I just want to say this because knowing that you listed, not even listed, said everything, but not all of it.
No,
I want to say
I didn't even
that
talk about overseas, y'all.
exactly. I'm just very proud to be not even be here about Whitney.
You're proud
It,
to be present in an era
yes, yes.
of this
I'm glad
greatness.
because the things
Because it's
about
not
some
just
of these
Whitney, y'all.
right, and some of these new generation don't even know Whitney, and they're gonna know Whitney as time goes
The
on.
fact that my sister, when she looked at me and said, I don't know who Whitney Houston is, but I've heard I want to dance with somebody.
I'm appalled. She doesn't know Whitney, honey. The
No,
the diva soul.
she
Oh,
does now because I made sure she did. But growing up,
exactly,
like,
and as you should, because how did you
no.
know? Because she says, "How will I know?" And I will always love you, regardless.
And it was beautiful. It was people also like people don't understand when you see someone that looks like you doing great things.
Hmm. And just as a matter of time, Whitney is everything. She is
They tried
life.
to garnish over all of her accolades.
Exactly. Whitney is
And you can
sassy.
sit there, and everyone still to this day, when they sit there and ask who's the greatest singer of all time, they will always say Whitney Houston.
And how will I know? And how did you know? Because you made it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So at the same time, it's just like Whitney is more than a singer. She is real. She is sassy. She is funny. She is hilarious. She's so warm and genuine. I can sense that my way from other celebrities. And let's just get into how everything transpires from point A to point Z.
Yep. So we have all of her accolades and all of that, everybody, which is fabulous.
Yes.
However, a lot of people don't know in the industry, and everyone's like, well, you're in the industry. Yeah, I'm not in the industry, but I'm woke as fuck, and I know what it is.
And we're so
Okay.
knowledgeable about music and everything.
In the music industry,
Mm-hmm.
the higher you rise, the harder you will fall, the more power and impact and influence you have, the harder they will try to ruin you, dispose of you, tarnish your reputation. What's the word
Amen.
you say now? Cancel. Or they will sit there and shadow all of your accomplishments and all your achievements with a murder, a scandal, or, you're on drugs, which may be true. However, there's a reason and there's a purpose. Let's talk about the fact that Michael Jackson, I don't want to bring him into this because he had his own things and we're not arguing about Michael
But
Jackson.
you know what? It doesn't even
He
matter. Wait, it
walked
doesn't.
into a store,
Mm-hmm.
shut that shit down, and deadass said, I am going to go shopping. And he went to a rare Beatles place and said, I want to buy this. So we're looking at a melanated dude because regardless how much they bleached him, they still viewed him as a black man.
Yeah, and
So once a
right,
black
and
man gets all that power, we can't have this.
but you know
Michael
what's
Jackson's
crazy?
impact was crazy.
Yes, but you know what's crazy? People that say he's white, but he's really black. Things about it, he had like pigment skin.
And nobody knows what it was like to be one of the biggest black artists. I don't even like saying
Yes,
black. I like saying melanated because black is a
yes.
term that white people gave us.
Mm-hmm.
Melanated is beautiful. Okay, so
Exactly.
a
Always.
melanated man in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, y'all don't know. I
They
can't even
don't.
sit there and say I don't know because I am a mixed light skinned man that was born in the late 90s. So I can't
Exactly.
even sit there and relate. I know
And
damn well they told him to fix his hair, fix his nose, lighten his skin if he, wanted to do
and
this.
you know what's crazy? Some
And
celebrities,
his abusive ass father.
right? And some celebrities have insecurities, and we don't blame them because
And there's a thing called self hate. It's
yes,
very hard being raised a melanated person in America
exactly.
because
People
in
need to
America,
understand. Yeah,
you are
people need.
raised to be the minority. It's not like that in other countries.
It's not like that, but it's more than half, which is majority. People need to understand. All of us, which is we, as in everybody, needs to understand not everything is not easy for melanated people. Whether
No,
regardless if
and
you're
we don't
white,
want the
black,
victim
pink,
card. We just
purple.
want you to see us and understand where and why we move the way that we do and say the things that we do. We're not delusional.
Exactly, and
So instead of playing victim, educate yourself. I grew
right,
up
and
with white people and they did not understand what I went through. And then when I got old enough and at a certain age, I was like, y'all don't understand. Like when I say that I'm proud of myself, like I'm proud of myself. My
right,
brother I'm not, again, I always drag my brother and I'm not saying this to drag him, but my brother, he wasn't as smart as me in school, but he was great in sports and my brother's white. He got offered scholarships for sports and they didn't give a fuck about his grades. When
right,
I played sports, I was just as good as him. But Sal, my brother, got the scholarships. I had to go and get my success through my books.
exactly,
It's different. It's
right,
not the same thing. So if
right,
you take your blinders off, you'll get that. So to make sense with this, we have a successful melanated queen
yeah,
who,
exactly.
as soon as they find out that this queen does drugs, it's a wrap because she's no longer an angel anymore.
But the
It's
thing
now they're
about
going to
it, people need,
perpetuate the
and
stereotypes. Yeah, her
but
voice good, but she
yeah,
a crackhead.
let me just say this: it's a stereotype because knowing that
And they put the drugs here.
and it's crazy. It's so uncommon, or it's common at the same time because you know what, they pick and choose what they want to do in that newspaper or
The
that interview
Beatles
or
were drug
whatever.
addicts, but everyone loved the Beatles.
Exactly, but at the
They
same
didn't get
time, it's
drugged through
just
the mud. As soon as Whitney
mhm.
had drugs, drug.
But in like how people like social media, they take the bad pieces and put it in social media or whatever newspaper, and then make the celebrities the bad guy. You don't even know that person until you fully live with that celebrity to know what really is going on. Because at the same
And you want
time,
to sit there and drag her for doing drugs? Everyone knows a drug addict that they cool with.
TMZ be doing the most. Got Bossa be doing the most. A lot of these blogs be doing the most, and they don't understand what is going on because they end up
That's
being
why I respected. I love Wendy, but I respected when Whitney checked Wendy's ass.
exactly. And
It
what's
had to be done. No one else. Before Rose, when Whitney was the girl that always checked y'all.
Yes. She Whitney would check you in a hot minute. You
Yep,
better
she was like,
believe.
"Yes, I'm a celebrity, but I'm also a person, and you gonna stay there because she's so melanated, okay? And we are very much like stay out of our
Yes.
business, and you're
Yes.
not
Yes.
gonna drag me on the news. Millions and millions of people are seeing this, and you're not gonna tarnish my reputation like that."
As she should not, because y'all need
Wendy never gave Whitney her props when she was popping with her music, but as soon as there were scandals, again, that was Wendy's job. I'm just saying I understand it from Whitney's point.
right.
Uh
And
huh. So we gonna talk about. I remember exactly where I was when Whitney passed away. Do you?
uh-huh. Actually, I really remember where I was. I'm gonna just tell you my story. Basically, I was living across the bridge one time. Well, when my actually it was with my parents, and I was like around like 13 or 14 because she passed away 2012. Not
Yep.
so not yet. So I was in my bedroom, and my sister called my mom or called me, and she said when Houston passed away. So it was I couldn't. I'm gonna be honest because I have to be honest to the podcast fans and everything. I couldn't have sympathy because I didn't really know what to do because I'm so young, and people understand
Right.
that
And
unless
at
they
that age, you don't know the impact. You're just like, oh,
exactly
okay, a celebrity said.
until you fully get older, you will understand why.
Hmm.
Especially, let me just say this:
I
when
know what my parents mean now, like when Aaliyah passed and Tupac passed and Biggie passed. Like, I get it.
when Michael Jackson passed away,
I was traumatized.
I called my sister, and when I called her, I said Michael Jackson. She said, "Let me call you back." I'm like, because things about it is always the greatest people that always leave this earth. But we know at the same time that legacy still here and their soul is still here. It's just their body left. Their body left, but their soul and everything is still here. And I'm very grateful to be part of the 90s era or whatever I can touch on because at the same time, it's always a good spirit and good energy coming from everybody's voice, which who loves Whitney, who
Mhm.
loves such and such.
But a fact, you brought up Michael. I remember the only reason I knew who Michael Jackson was, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know who Michael Jackson was when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But when that's because that's when all that stuff happened. My mom was like, "You ain't knowing who this man is." However, when I moved to this small town called Oakfield, my first day of school, I was the only, and I'm first of all, I'm mixed light skin, and I was the only melanated kid in my grade.
Right.
Okay. So I was walking through the halls, and like, of course, I went to a small school, like 50 people in my grade. So everybody knows who you are, and they know a new kid. And I remember this white kid came up to me. His name, I'm not gonna say his name. We're gonna call him Todd. He knows who he is. But Todd,
He sure
Todd
do.
walked by me with his group of like his group of friends, like straight dudes, and they're like, "Oh, there's Michael Jackson." And I remember I went home and I was like, "These kids were calling me Michael Jackson all day," and my mom got heated because I didn't know what it was. Like at that time, I didn't know what ethnicity and color and all that shit
Exactly.
was either.
And
So I
you
was
know
just like,
what?
"Okay." So I went, and that Halloween, because they picked on me, I dressed up as Michael Jackson from Thriller, and I went to school in that costume. I was like, "They can call me Michael Jackson." I was like, "You can put some respect on his name." I remember I
Exactly.
walked through the hall, and they were like, "Oh, he really is Michael Jackson." I did the dance that he does, like the do 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 thing, and I
Yes,
was
yes,
like,
yes,
"Fuck
yes. I
off!"
love
Like,
that.
bye. I am Michael Jackson, and you went home, okay? So it was very
Yep.
much like that. But when Whitney Houston passed away, I already knew who Whitney was, so it was different. Like, so I got mad because growing up, like my grandmother always used to say, like because she's like she was born in 1948, so she's seen like music, and she literally said she's like music isn't what it used to be now. Music isn't talent anymore. It's all about sex, which is
Yes.
I guess
And
fine, but
like
I didn't know what she
I
meant by
agree.
that.
I agree.
Whitney was one of the last artists that genuinely sang about things that mattered.
And let me
So
just
when she died, I knew that that type of music was also going to die with her,
it
and that's why I
was.
was
And you know
upset
what?
in a different type
Right.
of way. Because Michael, he wasn't like he was an amazing vocalist, but he was more performance and entertainment. Whitney was vocals,
Yes. And
and I grew up in choir. I grew up in bands. I like vocals. I like talent. I like singers. So when Whitney
yes.
died, I was like, music is done.
Yes. I just feel like this new generation, especially COVID, got everything messed up. Like I feel
I
like
could make a song now and go viral,
exactly. And it
and
just
that shouldn't be the case.
it shouldn't be because like back then it was real music. Like it's so crazy to this day that we don't hear the hymns and the and the hers, and the gospel, the jazz, and all that. And these new kids is missing out on real music. They want to hear all that suck me, all that da ba ba, and it's all promoted as being a
The
number one hit
fact that
single.
WAP is going to be a diamond single
And
disgusts
I
me.
just feel like at the same time, this new generation, new kids on the block, which is like these celebrities that's been here since '08 or like even longer, should understand the freaking like old music that still matters to this day.
And
Like
even
when
if you
like when you
introduce the kids to it, it's not quote unquote cool. So they're not going to listen to it. Listen to it with you. Like when I bring my sister and my brother over, like I'll play Whitney and shit. And they're like, wow, that's great. But they're not going to go home and listen to it.
they're not, and they wouldn't understand because knowing that they don't know what the celebrity's talking about in the song. Like when you said, I don't know my strength. Let's just touch that because knowing that
Y'all don't understand.
she like that song really touches my heart because there's a lot of heartache, a lot of bad and good with it that people went through, and we understand what she's saying because I like
Y'all
my
need to
mother,
listen to her last album, I Look to You.
like my yes, and my mom always say what did my mom always say? I forgot. She'd be like, you don't even just know how you blessed, and I couldn't understand why. Why? Because I could have been dead a long time ago. People don't realize that. Like I didn't even know my own strengths that I had strengths till I got older because you know what? I have a voice and I'm heard and I am me and I'm he and I am him. So end of story.
And that's that. And music influences people. The reason I am a confident person, the reason that I look up to myself and I'm so proud of myself and stuff is honestly through music. So when celebrities sit there, like, yes, it is not your job to coach kids and do all that because at the end of the day, you're just here for a bag. I get that. That's your job.
Yeah.
However, you guys need to understand and acknowledge the influence that you have.
Yes.
So Whitney's influence is going to be different than I'm sorry, like even my girl like Nikki's influence is going to be different. Nikki taught y'all to
Exactly.
be powerful women and sexy and confident. Whitney taught you to be strong humans.
Exactly. I just feel like
It's different. It's
I
different.
feel like when Whitney comes involved and come in a open door, I feel like she's everything that we dream for and everything that we wanted and needed in a person. Because at the same time, we didn't have people in this generation. We had Whitney. We had the old school, and this new school is not even giving us what we need. But you know what? I'm gonna let it marinate and let it manifest to somebody in like 2 years or 3 years or 5 years from now that's gonna understand what we're talking about at the end of the
And I
day.
do feel blessed knowing that I am part of the generation where I wasn't alive for all these people, but I still am cognitive enough and aware of the presence of the greats.
Right? I'm
Like, I know what our parents mean when they say there will never be another this, and that. Like, I get it. Because, like, no, like, I wish, like, I don't want to be around with all the raisins and shit, but I wish I could have been around, like, when these artists first came about to see the actual impact and stuff that they had. Like,
yes,
Whitney opened the door for melanated queens to even be on pop radio,
yes,
which
yes,
is ironic because, like, they melanated people created music, okay?
yes, they
In
did.
America, the first time that music was ever created was when our ancestors were out on the fields working all day and they started making songs to pass the time.
Exactly.
White people saw that and took that and made music, but they wouldn't give us our flowers because we weren't allowed to have flowers because we weren't citizens.
And speak on it.
So they made music mainstream, but we made music. So
But
seeing anybody that is melanated be in charge and on top, especially even though Whitney had Dutch in her, she was still brown skin. So seeing anyone that was of a darker complexion winning made my soul happy.
right. And you know what's crazy? I love how you said that our ancestors in the cornfield like really singing to past them because you know
Because
what?
they did.
And
I
right,
even
I
remember
was
watching those fucked up movies. I don't know, sir, but even hearing
like
like the
yeah, and then
like
yeah, roots and
that's
everything.
music,
I
people.
love how you put that together because you know what people need to understand. We as melanated people came so far, and we sung our songs while we were working because knowing that to pass time. Even to this day, people that are working at McDonald's or Burlington or whatever, they still do the same thing that
Didn't want
they
to
were
teach
doing.
us to read or write. Okay, we'll fucking sing. How about that?
Exactly to
And then
pass
y'all
time
still took that. So
because the
seeing
things
any
about it,
melanated person win.
Right. And you know our
Period.
ancestors want to clock out before they even do another shift of picking cotton because we have to clock out to make our money's worth.
On God.
On everything now. On Mary Had a Little Lamb.
No ma'am, no ham,
No
no
turkeys, no
steak.
lettuce, no
And
lettuce.
that's all that.
Exactly.
Oh my God. Okay, so I've been stalling now because, like, okay, I'm about to get into it.
Let's get into it.
I'm gonna just read everything that I read, and then we're just gonna talk about it.
Exactly, as we should.
So, the night that Whitney Houston passed away, there was also a Grammy Awards party thrown by Clive. Also, Brittany, I'm just reading. So, Brittany, Diana Ross, and Jane Fonda were at this party, walking out of the front door. Whitney Houston's body is being drug out of the side door. It was ruled an accidental drowning. The rumor is that there's two rumors. The one is that she overdosed, obviously. That's the one that.
Yes.
There's also a rumor that she was murdered by thugs because there were men captured on the hotel CCTV going into her room. She was discovered face down, an emphasis in a scalding bathtub. She had weed. I don't know how much I can say. She had weed, cocaine, and benzos in her system. She was asking friends for money, about like $100,000, like before she passed, and even Clive Davis that night he paid for her room because she didn't have the money to pay for her room allegedly. Her assistant conveniently left for 45 minutes when she passed. We think, not we, some people think that it was like a thugs were pressing her for money, like gone wrong, and that led to her death. There was a large area on Whitney's lower back that was burned off, like skin gone. The water was so hot that 6 hours after she died, so y'all need to sit there and think about this, not you, the audience.
Right.
6 hours after she died, the water was still at a little under 100 degrees. 6 hours after sitting there. So someone on drugs physically can't get into a bathtub that hot. Even if you're sober, like when the water's too hot, you dunk your toe in, that shit's right back out of the tub.
Yes.
If you fill up the bathtub and you step in that shit right away, you are out of that in 0.5 seconds if that shit is too hot.
Exactly.
Her body had injuries on her forearm, her hands. She had defense wounds. She had bruises on her arms and shoulders. She had a cut on her upper lip. She had scrapes on her nose and forehead, and she had lacerations to her scalp. And the coroner said that it looked like she had been through a boxing match. Earlier that day, she was going off on her balcony saying she don't want to do this shit no more, blah, 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 blah. So did she refuse to pay her dealers? Because apparently the night before, she had people come in and bring her drugs, and she kicked them out and apparently refused to pay them. So some people think they might have came back and been at her. Other people think that Clive Davis killed her because her tour before wasn't doing great with Her I Look to You. There was even a concert in Australia and shit that she got booed off of. And there's an interview where she comes into a room. I'm sure everyone's seen this on the internet. She walks into this room while they're doing a press interview and she's soaking while her hair is wet. And Brandy, who was her manager at the time or something, Brandy was something. That's why I'm at Brandy too, because she knows what went down. Brandy got handed a note by Whitney, and Brandy opened the note, looked at it, and made a face. Whitney didn't say nothing. She said that she fell in the shower again, meaning, and then Clive looked at her like, what the fuck? Like, you're still not dead? Because he looked surprised to see her. However, that day, I remember I thought that was very hard of Whitney Houston. Whitney Houston brings up her daughter, Bobbi, who was a little girl at the time, was like, hi, this is Clive. You know, this is like one of your good friends. So like Clive seeing the daughter and like seeing Whitney, it was very much like me looking back. It was very much like, I know you're trying to get rid of me. I have a daughter, have some heart. Like, I see you type of thing. That's how I view it as.
Yes.
Her career was slipping. A few weeks before her death, she did a concert with not Kiki White, who the fuck is she? Faith Evans. And she got into a fight with a singer. They did not say who the singer was, but she left that concert and she was acting a hot mess and she left and she had an injury on her leg. She had a cut on her leg or something. So there's a lot, like, for me seeing it, like, I know how the industry is. I feel like they disposed of her because at this point she's becoming a liability, and if they kill her now, they can still make money off of her.
I'm gonna just say this, and I'm gonna say it everything I have to say.
And Ray J was also spotted leaving the hotel that night, and her and Ray J were alleged having an affair.
Let me just say this because knowing that.
So that's everything I've written down. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is let me just get into it. It's a lot of
My thought
rumors.
is disgusting.
Yes, it's a lot of rumors listed that you said because you know what? I'm gonna just say
Mm-hmm.
this: the time that it was almost time for her passing, because God made sure she such and such.
Ooh,
Basically, she
ooh,
was at a
sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. But do you remember this is also the same year that Nicki Minaj's career started going through things because at this Grammys is the year that Whitney died and Whitney's body was literally apparently under the Grammys thing. And
I
Nicki Minaj, I love my girl Nicki, but she had the audacity to do that shit. You know what I'm talking about.
I
She
for,
did the Roman holiday
oh
performance
yeah,
when she
I
was over
saw
here
that.
doing that
I was like,
exorcist shit and
yeah.
them rituals. That was morbid as fuck
I just feel like she was
with
unreasonable.
Whitney's churchy body in the basement while she's doing that ritual shit.
Yeah. And it says a lot. But at the same time, that night with her passing, she was doing a meet and greet or whatever the case may be, because it was Kelly Price was in there. Kelly Price,
Yes. Hmm.
because Kelly Price is one of her girlfriends, and Kelly made sure she wasn't high. She wasn't, because things about okay, basically when it
The
comes to
assistant leaving for 45 minutes.
right, but the
The
things
whole
of
to the people going in her room, like, come on.
let me just say this because knowing that a lot of y'all like to pick and choose. But Whitney, a lot of celebrities like to sweat. Whitney sweats. A lot of these old timers like to sweat because know that they do a lot. But Whitney wasn't high. She was very sober, as much I can see because I can tell because there's so many people that
Do you
you.
think, like, in general, you don't think she did drugs at all?
I know she things. Okay, let me just go to the drugs part.
Okay, because
They
I was
said
like,
they
I
said
think she did, because I remember that Rainy Days performance that she did with Mary, and it looked like the dude drunk aunties. Like, I was like, girl, like, she looked high, but I don't think she was ever high, because
yeah
I think
I
she knew her shit enough to not overdose and die.
but yeah that's true
Because
because
she was
knowing
still
that.
only 48 years old, people.
Right, they said that Bobby did it first when he did it first. You don't
I don't
even
care
know
who did
what
it first.
you don't like. I'm just saying for everybody that like
Yeah, they drug Whitney on that bio thing. They made it look like Whitney was the main thing, and I was like, nah,
exactly, and it wasn't the case
I feel like they
because
both did it together.
right because it's somebody that introduced Whitney or Bobby, either whatever the case may
If
be. A
you
lot of
meet
people
someone and you both do drugs, you're going to do drugs more with each other.
exactly and things. It's crazy because knowing that night when she was passing on, she wasn't high. She was herself. Even if she was high, it's
So
none of
what
your
do you
business.
think went down that night?
I think is more so sorry. All that you just said doesn't add up but the thing about it, what you just said about the temperatures, about the water and everything, that's accurate. So people
It's
need to
very
understand
accurate. So that's
because
why
the
I'm
thing
like,
about
she
it,
did
people need to
not drown in the
understand
bathtub.
because it like all that stuff that happened to Whitney, it can't happen overnight. It gotta be more to the story than it ever should because
What
people's not
I
telling the
think
story.
happened is I think Clyde had her killed. However, I do think that